And the answer lies in getting across to that broad range of mainly public sector funders that you're a unique way of getting through to the community and a distinct way that stands apart from the mainstream media. Because if you look at mainstream media, they're quite tainted now by issues of distrust and of not being for the people in the way that community radio is. And I think we, as community radio, have great value as a trusted intermediary between almost any partner and parts of the community that they would otherwise find difficult to reach.
Okay. So what about from the community itself? Is there things that you feel the community can do with your stations up there in Manchester? Is there things the community did to help?
Well, things that we haven't explored fully yet, but I could see us doing are, for example, some benefit events. I think for those parts of the community that benefit from the station, such as the music community of an area, for them to actually say, well, actually, we've got something we can give back to the station by holding events and benefit concerts. I think that's a really good way to go forward. Obviously, volunteering from the community doesn't actually have to just be about being on air. I think members of the community are invaluable to the station in offering contacts, for example. So if you're a member of staff in a school, if you've got financial expertise, for example, all of these things are invaluable to a station in terms of building up the business model.
Okay. So in your opinion, because like I said, you're a man in the know, and you've been called upon to give advice, like to community media associations, name but one. You've actually experienced working with the BBC. How do you see community radio, the future of community radios?
I think the future for community radio is fascinating, especially because the media landscape is changing so rapidly. I think people are getting quite excited about the online media future. There's a lot of excitement at the moment about putting broadcasting onto the internet, so that you get your TV and radio and news, everything comes down the internet. Now, I think community radio has a vital role in that because we're broadcasting already and we're involving volunteers and members of the community in a way that the internet doesn't. And I think if an organisation wants to have an ongoing conversation with the people that it works with, and whether those are customers, clients, beneficiaries, to use the jargon, then I think we've got an absolutely priceless role to play in making sure that those relationships between organisations and citizens can really, really thrive.
So what about digital? Because at the moment everyone's talking about digital, and I know me personally, we've had people ask us at GFM about being, the DAB radio or the, is it Sky that you can get radio on? How come you're not on that? How come you're not on that?
DAB does not do local in the way that FM does. We've no great wish to create a greater Manchester community radio station. I think community radio works far, far better at as small a locality as possible, and DAB simply doesn't do that. Sky, again, fine if you only want to reach Sky subscribers. So I think the fact that FM is there in everyone's car, in everyone's front room, then that has got to be valuable. For the moment, I think in 5 years' time, things will be different. But at the moment, I think FM has an absolutely vital role, a unique role, especially when wrapped up with community radio.
The thing is, we in Gloucester, I suppose, as a smaller city compared to Manchester, that I suppose, again, is a disadvantage depending on what area you're living in, or community radio stations in, to the support and that you get, I suppose.
Or the other way around, you've got less gates to get through. You'll actually be rubbing shoulders more easily with the people that hold the purse strings. I think it cuts both ways. I think we have some advantage in Manchester in the funding, certainly that used to flow to areas of disadvantage. That was the sort of silver lining of some of our more disadvantaged estates. But I think by having a more functional economy, by having, as I say, shorter lines of communication with the decision makers, I think it swings and roundabouts, Carl.
Okay, and one more thing, I get these light bulb moments, as I call them.
Yeah.
We were talking about the community, how they could help, and the thought just crossed my mind. What do you think about, where the government is saying how good community radios are, but when it comes to, the advertisement of government things, they seem to miss out community radio stations for some reason. But your own communities writing to their local MPs, their councillors?
I think that's absolutely vital. I think councillors and MPs will go where they perceive the votes are. Mm-hmm. And if people are writing to them saying that they value that service more than others, then I think that's absolutely vital. I think if you value your community radio station down your way, you've got to actually put pen to paper and tell your elected representatives that it matters to you.
Okay. So before you go, is there any lasting words you would say to our listeners here in Gloucester of GFM?
Value your radio station because it can't exist without you, and voice your support to anyone that will listen.
Okay. Thanks ever so much for that, Phil.
GFM. Music, news, information, advice with Carol and the Community Link crew on 96.6 GFM.